Hello, 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 friends. Welcome, 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 everyone. So excited to see you all today. What a pleasure to be here with you again for day 2 of Glow Up Your Sales, to blow up your business. Today we're going to cover pleasure. So I just want to take a couple minutes to let people come filtering in. And we're going to start with some really delicious, pleasurable activity to get us in the mood to receive today's transmission. And also, more pleasure never hurts any of us. So taking the opportunity to play in that energy with you all today to start things off. Yum, 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 yum. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so much pleasure from all of your gorgeous faces. I'm such a pleasure hoe. I cannot help it, but your beauty turns me on, babes. Loving it. Love, love, loving it. So all of you know, or maybe you don't, if today is your first day joining the training, welcome. Yesterday was a fabulous lit up day where we covered mindset as one of the most powerful tools that we can utilize when we're in our quest to grow our businesses, achieve our hopes and dreams and all of our desires. And so I'll post a replay for that because it was just like some really incredible gems that I was dropping. I brag. And all of your collective energy contributing to it as well. So if you didn't get to catch yesterday, look for the replay of that. I'll be posting that. And then for today, again, we're covering pleasure as an essential element and ingredient to how I've been able to create this thriving multi-six-figure business in this last year. So I am Marissa. I am the Rainbow Stallion. I'm the legendary Glow Ho. I'm the Agent of Sunshine. I use all of those monikers and these personas to help me step in to the energy, the mindset, the beingness of the human that accomplishes everything that I want to have in this world, right? And like encouraging all of us that we get to adopt any piece of ourself, any form of ourself that allows us to flow towards our ultimate end goals. And however that looks, however you love to shine, your authentic self-expression is going to be what helps you shine the greatest. And so that's what those monikers really are, is me adopting some of my most authentic parts in terms of loving to be this masculine energy that just gallops through the world with my rainbow mane and tail to say, you can do whatever you want. Or the legendary Glow Ho that's pretty slutty and wants to just be an exhibitionist and be seen and tease you from the corner. Or the Agent of Sunshine that just so firmly believes that we can find the silver lining, that we can find the light in all of our situations. And so that's just a little bit about me. I'm a certified erotic blueprint coach. Some of my incredible colleagues are here, and we are all trained in a methodology that is one of the, again, most powerful frameworks to finding pleasure in your body, understanding your own pathways of turn on and arousal, and also in your mind as well. So that is one of the backgrounds that I come from. And then I'm also a certified life coach. And so I have extensive experience in entrepreneurship. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur and being able to use the skills of my life coach training to translate that into this space of having an online business and what it means to master the art of entrepreneurship, no matter what your offering is, whether you're a coach, an artist, someone who's facilitating group experiences. Really, the principles that I'm teaching in these 3 days go across the board. And so that's what we're up to here. That's what I'm up to. And again, just kind of clarifying that, one of the things that I'm sharing is how have I been able to use high ticket sales, 5-figure and greater sales, to grow a 6-figure business in a very short period of time. So yesterday, mindset was the component. Today, pleasure is the component. Tomorrow, we'll be covering strategy, so don't miss tomorrow either. And then at the end of today's training, I'm going to be sharing with you my incredible offer. I announced it to the world yesterday to all of you here. I'm so excited. I'm celebrating and bragging. 3 incredible humans have already said yes to stepping into the mastermind. They are genius. They know what's up. So excited to welcome them and journey with them. And so I'll share all about the details of that at the end of today too, if that appeals to you to step into that container. And today's call is going to be about 60 to 90 minutes just to set some space for your nervous system to know what to expect. We're going to start with a little bit of pleasure first, then I'm going to teach us about pleasure, and then we'll conclude with another little bit of music and movement to lead us out into our day today. So what I want to do is talk to you all about a concept that I introduced yesterday, which is the microdose approach. And so you're always going to hear me ask, how can you experience 1% more pleasure? And whether it's in mindset or pleasure or strategy, the microdose approach is such a beautiful way to gently guide ourselves into action. And for so many of us high achievers, which I recognize more than one on this call, perfectionism is a motherfucker and can keep us actually really paralyzed in our desire to do it perfectly, to do it well, to do it the right way. And so the microdose approach too is a really beautiful way to sidestep the perfectionist inside of us, or the person that thinks that the piece of us that thinks that it's just so hard, there's so much to do, or goes 18 steps forward and then gets overwhelmed by step 1 through 18. We turn to 1% movement. How can you do things in 1% increments, in micro doses? And that 1% adds up significantly over time. So when it comes to pleasure, always talking about how can you feel 1% more pleasure in this moment, and to give us space to actually do it, because so many of the times it's easy to be like, yes, yes, I'll do that. And I'm going to cover a little bit further in the pleasure pitfalls, things that keep us disconnected from pleasure. And one of them is saving it for later. So just as a way to model and also to invite us in, what I'm going to start us off today with is taking time for pleasure. And what I'm going to invite you to do is I'm going to play a song. It's 10 minutes long, so it's not a short little song. And to take this 10 minutes to really amplify your pleasure by 1% or more. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can literally be shifting into a different space in your house that is a little bit more comfortable. It can be opening a window, putting on a layer of clothing, taking a layer of clothing off, if you're a nude hoe like me. Lighting a candle. I'm going to show you some of the things that I've gathered actually during this time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the song, and it's your invitation to gather pleasure tools to increase your pleasure. And if nothing else, to just simply sit there and listen to the lyrics of the song and let them inspire you. And this builds on yesterday's mindset work, that being able to fill our brain with positive messages, the messages that tell us of our radiance, of our amazingness, of our awesomeness, of our power, is an essential and necessary ingredient to combating the voices and the scripts that tell us we can't, must stay small. You'll never be able to, imposter syndrome, all of those things. So in that vein, some of the things that I have gathered for pleasure are, I'm gonna put on some sparkle lipstick and some sparkle eyes. So a little bit of glitter always brings me pleasure. This is the scent that I've been wearing since I was 16 years old. It's made by this little company in my hometown area. Totally hippie. I love it. It's amber oil. Definitely makes me smell like exactly what I am, a big old hippie. I got some jewelry I'm going to put on. I've also got 30,000 fake money, $30,000 in fake money for each human that said yes yesterday. Baby, I'm going to rub all of that all over me in pleasure. This is how we do it, y'all. So I've got that here. I brag, I've been carrying around $250,000 of fake money in my suitcase all summer while I've been traveling, because this is the way that I get used to and acclimate my nervous system to having this kind of wealth. I'm literally carrying it with me everywhere I go. We'll talk about strategy tomorrow and how this plays into strategy. I'm a kinky bitch, so I'm gonna have a few little spanks for my success. So that's part of my pleasure. I've also got my feather fan. And all of this is just examples, right? Like I'm going for more than 1% here, but look at how easy it is. Any one of these elements can increase your pleasure by 1%. Also, I've got some chocolate. Thank you, Trader Joe's, for this delicious butterscotch dark chocolate situation. If you're a Mama Gina disciple, you've learned about pussy adornment, and I love to crown my pussy. Crowning your genitals is such a powerful activity. Also, if you come into the mastermind, you will be getting some of these as a gift because crowning your genius is a game changer. You wouldn't think it, but going to the bathroom and seeing a little flash of a crown above your genitals, yes, you will feel like the royal being that you are, the king and queen of all you survey. So I'm gonna be crowning my pussy. There's that. Also, I told you all that I'd be smoking golden blunts, golden joints for everyone who joined. So gots to roll me 3 golden joints. Cannabis Queen. These are 24 karat gold joint wrappers that I found at a smoke shop here in California a couple months ago when I was birthing this idea. And I got them and I was like, oh shit, these are going to be celebratory, because also this mastermind, everything we touch is turning to gold. This is a glow up your world mastermind. So anyways, I've got these here for more pleasure. I think, oh, last element, some agüita para mi boca, some mineral water. I'm a like seltzer water whore too. I always like the bubbles, and candles. So anyways, I'm going to play this song for us. Go search your pleasure, listen to the lyrics. And when we come back, I'm just going to continue to juice us up with more messages of pleasure and how and when to seek it and what it looks like. So DJ, let me get me going here. Sharing la música.
This one is for my goddesses. Today is not the day for you to not be feeling yourself. You are amazing. You're incredible. Do you understand me? I need you to know this. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to get up, put on your favorite waist beads, throw on your favorite lipstick, let your hair down or roll it up, however you feel the most sexiest. Throw a wrap around your hip and tie it. Throw on your favorite bikini top, or you can go topless and let those beautiful breasts hang. And get in front of a mirror and say these words to yourself. I am a goddess. I am powerful. I am gorgeous. Do you see me? Look at me. I am beautiful. My face is so sweet. My skin is dripping with honey. I am fertile with desire and passion. I am sexy. I am beautiful and gorgeous and pretty and everything lovely. I am a reflection of the universe because the universe is within me. I am amazing. I am blessed. And I give myself the best because I deserve the best. Swaying my hips from side to side, rolling and rolling my waistline because I'm the shit. I am a goddess. I am a queen. I am an empress. I am phenomenal. I give life to worlds and eras and legends, sons and daughters and planets, and I am the beginning of creation. Yes, without me, there is none. I am a goddess. I am an empress. I am a queen. Do you see me? Look at my crown. Look at my eyes. I am a legend. I smell like vanilla coated with chocolate drops of melanin. I am made of stardust from the moon. I am a dream. Yeah, I'm dreamy. And I'm passionate. And I believe in myself. I know who I am. I am that I am. Yes, I'm feeling myself. I am confident. My self-esteem is through the roof because I know who I am. I am a god. Without me, there is no life. Do you see me? I am powerful. There is nothing that I am not. Look at me sway from side to side. I am light. I am dark. Yes, I am lightning. I am thunder, like these thighs. Don't look too deep into my eyes. You see the way I move? This is voodoo. Yeah. I am magic. The sway of my body. Ooh. Look at me. I'm so sexy and sensual. Wow, so beautiful and soft and feminine. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm wearing my favorite color. I'm smelling like a garden of sweetness. Look at me. Yes. I am otherworldly. The universe lies within me. All life comes from between these thighs. I am magic. I am full of life. I am everything. There is nothing I am not. Anything I want, I get. Because I know my powers. I know what I possess. I know who the fuck I am. This is just a daily reminder. I am a god, and in this feminine form. I am amazing. I am a walking deity. My energy is high. I am smiling, full of love. I am love. I am beauty. I am abundance. I am everything. I am confident. I am anything that I want. Everything outside of me is just a reflection of what's inside. I am powerful. I am love. I love myself. I take such great care of myself. I bathe myself in the finest of plants from the gods. My water is alkaline. Drink my water. I am pure. I am beautiful. I am fire, I am earth, I am air, I am water. I am beauty. I am creative. Creativity flows from my womb into this life. And you love it. Anything I do pops because I'm popping. I am bomb. Yeah, I love myself. That's right. Don't be mad. Love yourself too. 'Cause I love me. Fearlessly. I love myself. I am a goddess. Don't forget that.
I'm a boss, baby, baby.
Yes, that song though. I'll post the link for it because that song is just magic in and of itself. So grateful to that artist. And how was that, friends? Share in the chat. How was it to increase your pleasure by 1% or more? How was it to receive that musical medicine? How was it to concentrate and manifest and be in the energy of your pleasure, of your riches, of your future self? It's amazing what lipstick does. It felt easy, sweet, and sexy. And what I really want us to understand too is that pleasure does not have to be hard. Pleasure can be so simple. And that's the 1% concept. That's the microdose concept. So loving all of you for participating in that moment of pleasure, and our collective pleasure can take us all higher together. And this is the new way of being. It can feel so different. Prioritizing pleasure and running our life from pleasure is actually very anti-congruent to everything that we've been taught for most of our life. So that's part of what we're going to talk about today. And just sharing a little bit of my story with you all again, too. And from the pleasure perspective, my world was changed back in 2019 when I worked with another one of my mentors, Mama Gina. And that is really when pleasure was introduced to me as a concept of a tool, not just a state of being, but as a tool that could be used to change my state of being. And prior to that, I would have thought that pleasure was something that was, like happiness, that it came and it went, that it was like sadness, like that it was any other emotion, versus a state of being that I could cultivate and a state of being that I could call upon in terms of being able to manifest my desires and be able to take me further in my action and to be able to change my relationship to my own, for instance, procrastination and kind of patterns of behavior. So pleasure is a very, very powerful force. And, you know, yesterday I was saying that the way that I was unfolding this training was kind of in like level of importance in your business, level of importance in the mission of how to use high ticket sales to grow your business. And so mindset being the number one thing, but right behind that, and these are all kind of like within steps of each other, except for the strategy part. The strategy part can be that third place straggler, but pleasure and mindset are vying for that 1-2 place. And what I want us to understand is that pleasure can come in so many forms. So what is pleasure and what does that even look like? How could we define that? And how can we open the definition to it? So in terms of pleasure, one of the easiest ways that we can look to is the physical pleasure. And that's the pleasure that we would get through our 5 senses. Like the pleasure that we get from putting our eyes onto something beautiful, seeing ourselves with some lipstick on, a little bit of visual pleasure. Auditory pleasure from hearing music that inspires us, from hearing the words, I love you from a beloved one, from being able to yell, right? A good old scream can give a lot of pleasure, just saying. So the pleasure that we're getting from our physical senses, from our nose, the way we can smell perfume, for instance. I love my own scent. It's just like so comforting to myself. And it makes me feel beautiful, but it also is this hugely comforting scent of constancy, of stability that I get through that pleasure source of the scent of my longtime perfume. And then also, you know, the taste that we can get, our taste buds. Mi chocolate here gives a delicious taste to my taste buds. So the pleasure that we can get through the physical is a very easy pleasure pathway for most of us to access. It's one that we would traditionally look to. And then also the pleasure that we can get through our physical body with sex, right? With turn on and arousal, and talking about the erotic blueprints and understanding that framework of sexuality as a game changer for understanding how to feel pleasure sexually in your body. And so pleasure is also emotional pleasure, feeling good in our brain, feeling good in our body emotionally, because our thoughts, like we learned yesterday, our thoughts create our feelings. And so our emotions are deeply connected to the thoughts that are in our mind, but our emotions are also something that are felt physically in our body. So feeling our emotions, both feeling okay in our brain and feeling okay on a physical level from the emotional perspective, not just from producing pleasure purposefully through our senses, but feeling okay on a cellular level because the thoughts that we're thinking support our pleasure in our body. There's spiritual pleasure. The pleasure that we get from interacting with a force that's greater than ourselves, with a belief system, a thought system. And whether you're a witch or however you find your spirituality, Christian, Catholic, Hindu, all of the gods, all of the goddesses, the energetic truth, however you find that, that is a deep source of pleasure. So oftentimes we'll think pleasure and we'll think, oh, well, I don't have a partner. I don't have time for pleasure because we're only thinking about pleasure as sex. But it's like, no, pleasure is this huge bubble of energy that we can tap into from so many ways. The pleasure that comes with being in alignment with your values. That's a pleasure we don't often talk about. And what it means to be in alignment with your yeses and your nos, and to feel steady in them and feel solid in them. To be able to stand up for your values in the face of others. Whether that's your values around feminism, around race, around sex. How good does it feel when we can own our voice and own our truth with authenticity? That's pleasure. And that can come in moments least expected, way outside of the bedroom, right? So pleasure, fun, and joy, freedom. Oh my God, the freedom of choice is pleasure. Being able to be in chaos is pleasure. Allowing yourself imperfection is pleasure. Again, a teaching from Mama Gina, the 88 keys, being able to play all of your 88 keys. So pleasure is not just a happy, feel-good emotion, like space that we create. Pleasure can be feeling angry. It can be feeling grief. It can be feeling rage. It can be feeling disappointment. Because feeling your feelings is pleasure. Yeah, I'm all up in the pleasure of all of this money surrounding me. I threw it all over myself. So pleasure from all of the places, from many, many different entry points to pleasure. So when I ask, how can you feel 1% more pleasure? It's not just touching your genitals. It's not just adorning yourself. It can be making a donation to a cause you love and support, right? Being in alignment with your values. So pleasure comes from so many ways. And when we tune into pleasure, it changes our state of being. So this is why all day I'm asking myself, how can I increase this moment, the pleasure of this moment by 1%? And it's also, again, hint like mindset, right? All of these things are interconnected, but pleasure is mindset, because when you step into pleasure, you're then creating the space for the mindset that supports your growth, your transformation. And so more of why is pleasure essential? Well, it's essential for the mindset, but it's also an antidote to the lifelong conditioning that we've received as humans that have been identified as females. We have been conditioned to stay small, not in our power, being paid less with fewer rights. And like, how does this relate to 10 like high ticket sales and building a 6-figure business? Because when you've been conditioned to stay small, you're not even likely to ask for a 5-figure paycheck, a 6-figure paycheck. When you've been told how powerless you aren't likely to think that you're powerful enough to hold space for other humans, and especially at high ticket price points. And pleasure is one of the ways where we remember the essence of ourselves, where we remember our power. It brings us back to the truth of the matter, which is that we are incredibly big beings with an incredibly big mission here. And it gives us permission to flow towards that, because when we step into pleasure, we're more likely to step into the mindset of that being our truth, and then more likely to step into the action to create that truth as our reality. So pleasure is the antidote to our lifelong conditioning to stay small and stay outside of ourselves, because we know the truth of our bigness. If I were to spend individual time with all of you, it wouldn't take but a few minutes to understand the truth of your bigness here. So in order to be small, you literally have to remove yourself from yourself to conform to that small little box they like to put us in. And tapping into pleasure returns you to yourself and breaks you out of that space. Smashing the patriarchy and the systems of oppression. This is what we're talking about, right? We can't undo the master's house with the tools they use to build it. So working long hours, sacrificing our time with our families. I was just talking to one of my guy clients last night, and he was telling me that when his son was 2 or 3 years old, he spent 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month traveling for work, to the point where his kid didn't recognize him when he came home and would cry when he picked him up. This is what we've been taught to do to have a successful and thriving career. Fuck that shit. Let's smash those systems that have set up that kind of reality for us. We get to step out of that. And pleasure is one of the ways where we say, no, I'm not available for that. I'm not available to be working hours that are outside of my pleasurable range. Radical moves towards pleasure is saying, I get to set up my schedule exactly as I like. If I'm a morning person, I get to have clients at 6 a.m. If I'm an evening person, I get to have them at 2 a.m. Understanding that you and your pleasure are going to be so magnetic that your perfect humans are going to be drawn to exactly your way of being. And so again, pleasure as the antidote to what we've been taught how to be. And the return to our essence of how we are as brilliant, unique, radiant beings, and letting that energy carry out, and letting the energy of pleasure carry with our offer. Because we've all felt that space of like, someone is putting something out into the world and it just doesn't feel good. You're like, why does that thing just not feel good? Pleasure is an energy that is palpable. And so when you're in pleasure and you're offering your high ticket items out into the world, they're going to hold the energetic current of your pleasure with them as well. And people are going to buy from you and then be like, I don't know, it just felt really great. That offer just had great energy around it. That human just has great energy around them. I want that. Also, pleasure is our birthright, babes. No matter what genitals you carry, what body you're born with, pleasure is your birthright. It is the way our bodies are wired. We have anatomical structures that exist for no other reason than to feel pleasure. And so when you're not adopting it, you are literally going against your own currents. And we're all about making shit easy here. You know, part of my story, I brag, is the ease with which I've made all of these hundreds of thousands of dollars. By taking naps, by not worrying about technology that I don't know how to do on my own. Right? And that you don't need to be so fucking successful. But pleasure has been the thing that helps me be like, okay, I can like turn to this. I can allow myself this pleasure. This is my birthright. This is my native state of being. Rather than swim against my own currents, let me adopt that. Sleep when I need to, eat when I need to, have sex when I want to, orgasms, all of the things, knowing that pleasure is my natural state of being, and me in my natural state of being is inherently going to have me in my glow, in my shine. This is the glow up theory, this method, right? The more that you are in your authentic shine, the more magnetic you are. And that is that piece, the shiny people theory that I talk about. Some of you have heard me say this before, but I have this beautiful imagery in my mind where like, no one wants to destroy anything after an orgasm. Like no world leader wants to drop a nuclear bomb right after they've orgasmed. So I have this dream of a pleasure team of Avengers, like the Avenger team of pleasure enthusiasts. And the world leader is about to hit the red destructive button and in flies the pleasure superheroes. And they give that human the best oral sex of their life. Lick that pussy, suck that cock, whatever the thing is. They have an amazing orgasm and World War III is averted. No nuclear bomb is dropped. Because shiny people don't destruct. Shiny people create. Shiny people connect. Shiny people emit love, emit light. And so pleasure is integral to creating more shine for you. And pleasure as resilience. I'm not going to lie, the path of entrepreneurship has its bumpy moments. We've all been there. None of us are unaware. Some of us are in the fucking bumpy moments right now. And this is not an overnight process. There's a very like specific reason why I structured the mastermind to be a 9-month-long journey. The glow up doesn't happen overnight. Some of it catches like wildfire, but some of it is a subtle burn. And pleasure as resilience, pleasure as the tool that will carry you through any of the valleys, any of those hard moments. When invariably your asshole brain wins the game that day. For all of the best mindset in the world, your asshole brain will win some days and tell you that it's not working, tell you that you want to burn it down, tell you that no one's interested, that no one's listening. How could you ever? Your dreams are too big. How dare you? And pleasure as the energetic current to carry you with resiliency through those moments. So all of that is the case for pleasure, right? The way that we reconfigure the new paradigm of pussy-based pleasure-led business, the way that we tap into our essential nature, the way that we create more glow for ourselves and others, and the way that we lean into something, a resilience, something to hold us, a structure to hold us. So I mentioned earlier, what are some of the pleasure pitfalls? What are the things that would keep you away from pleasure? And one of the main ones is something that I see all the time, which is saving it for later. And we think of pleasure as a gift that we get when we accomplish something, or something that comes as a reward. I can have a treat at the end of this diet. How many of us have been on that fucking train before, right? Once I get that client, I'll buy myself the XYZ present. That if I can accomplish said goal by said date, I then can have said item. And so understanding that saving pleasure for later is a tool that keeps us out of pleasure, because the later never comes, babes. Also, FYI, you sell your first 5-figure package, your first 10K package, your brain immediately changes it to not good enough because it's not 20K. You have a 50K month and it's not good enough because it's not a 100K month. The later never will be there. Like if you're saving your pleasure for later, the later is never going to come, because your brain is always going to extend out the metric of success. It's one of its classic asshole moves. You'll hear me talk about the asshole brain a lot. We love it. It's just sometimes, you know, full of shit. And so saving pleasure for later is this erroneous concept, because the later never comes, then the pleasure never comes, then you're never utilizing that energy, getting the benefit of it, being able to move from it, bask in it, regenerate with it. Another pleasure pitfall is like the doing more versus being more. The sensation that the more we do, the more pleasure we'll be able to have access to. Like, okay, well, if pleasure comes as the reward for doing something, let me just do a lot. And then I get to have 18 pieces of pleasure for the 18 things I did today. Versus just being and receiving pleasure because you were a human that was today. You were a human that breathed today. You were a human that existed today. What if you got to have pleasure with no exchange at all? And so that thinking pleasure is an exchange, not just saving it for later, but thinking that pleasure comes at the exchange of something. The exchange of your own energy, the exchange you're receiving from someone else. And so that's part of like forgetting that pleasure is your birthright, that pleasure gets to happen just because. Thinking that pleasure isn't important is totally a pleasure pitfall. Yeah, you and those pussy-based pleasure evangelists over there. What I'm talking about is deceptively simple and fairly radical. And there might be a ton of evidence in your life that you accomplished incredible, great, big things with no pleasure driving the show. So then you're like, hey, that's not really necessary. Like I have proof I've been able to do it without it. So that's a pleasure pitfall, is thinking that it's not necessary or that it's frivolous. Like, what the fuck? You're just over there orgasming and smoking weed? Like, how does that add any substance to the world? How are you saving anybody? How are you helping anybody? Me in a bathtub is not having impact, right? That pleasure is frivolous, because if I'm going to have impact in this world, I need to be doing. I need to be out there in the trenches. So you sitting in a high rise in a bathtub, like, how does that work, right? Yeah, you have to be serious to be able to be successful. You must do. Don't you be over there just laughing and giggling and orgasming and throwing fake money all over yourself. So well bragged, Holly, in the bathtub now. I was in the bathtub like until about 15 minutes before this. And then I was like, oh, wait, pull myself out of this pleasure tub and get on a screen. The robe came on easily. I didn't have to do much to prepare in that way. Another pleasure pitfall is that pleasure will lead to addiction. Right? Some of us think that if we allow ourselves one little ounce of pleasure, that it's going to lead to an overdose of pleasure. And especially if you're someone who has struggled with overuse disorders at any point in your history. It's like, pleasure is dangerous for me. So there can be a pleasure pitfall there of thinking that it's something that is actually going to harm you versus hurt you or lead you into dangerous territory. And so that's a very common misconception around pleasure. And again, in a private space, were we to have that conversation one-on-one, you know, I would be able to, I think, create a pretty large case that when you've turned to pleasure as a buffering activity, it can change the essence of why you're using it. But that's not the pleasure I'm talking about. And I've never seen anyone turn to pleasure and lose themselves in it when coming from the energy of using it as fuel towards their dreams versus a buffer against their pain. And so that's a very important and key distinction. And the sensation, another pleasure pitfall that we'll have is that pleasure will separate me from the people I love. Because if my people are committed to misery and I'm suddenly over here being a pleasure queen, how am I going to connect with them? How am I going to feel close to them? Again, most of us are conditioned to be in states of non-pleasure. And so when you make this switch into pleasure being the energetic fuel for your life, you might not find many people in your life who understand what that is and get on board with that for you. So this sensation of, if I turn to pleasure, I'm going to disconnect and I'll lose something in the gaining of pleasure. But I'm also here to tell you that you're not on this screen. You don't have big goals for no reason at all. You are a leader. You are a visionary. If you're hanging out and attracted by my glow energy, which means you're here at this training today, you are a human that came here to do big things. And in leadership, we create connection. And so that would be my challenge to thinking that turning to pleasure would create disconnection. It's like, no, you're turning to pleasure. You're exemplifying a way of being for the people you love. And that's going to create connection for you. And create connection with yourself by living your purpose out in the world too. So all kind of pleasure pitfalls and kind of reasons to like realize it's not as much of a pitfall as we might think. So then moving to like how to seek pleasure. How to turn pleasure into your guiding compass. And first of all, it's mindset. Adopting a pleasure mindset, which means understanding that pleasure is a priority. Pleasure makes you money. Pleasure fuels you in your business. So it's making a choice that I'm going to lean towards pleasure, It's making the mindset choice, the decision. We talked about making the decision yesterday as a huge component of the mindset piece, right? So it's making the decision that pleasure is a tool that you're going to employ as frequently as possible. So how to become a pleasure seeker? You decide that you are a pleasure seeker. You decide that that phrase, how can I feel 1% more pleasure, is going to become one of your go-to questions for yourself. Also, discovering what is your pleasure compass. So great, make pleasure your compass, but what does that even fucking mean? And that means sitting with yourself and starting to notice what truly brings you pleasure. And it might sound trite, but a good old list comes very much in handy here, because the brain can be, again, when it's in its not nice mode, when it's in its asshole mode, it will tell you that nothing feels pleasurable. That there's not a single thing that would come in and help you feel that pleasure. And when you have a list to turn to prove yourself wrong, your brain can't really argue. And I'll talk about in just a second what it means to layer pleasure. So in terms of creating your list, what are the things that bring you pleasure? For me, the sunrise, glitter, Christmas lights, a fuzzy blanket, playing backgammon, smoking weed, my clitoral suction toy, my Enjoy wand, Art Nouveau paintings, particularly Mucha. So anything Mucha artwork, looking at that gives me pleasure. Feeling wind on my face. Stretching my back. Being held in a hug. There are so many things that bring me pleasure. And if I make a list of them, then I can turn to that. So you noticed in my list, some of that was physical, some of it was sexual, some of it was visual, fizzy water. I always have fizzy water in my fridge. So like, what are the things that bring me pleasure? And when you are not feeling pleasure and you know that pleasure, it's like, okay, aha, I'm not feeling great. Pleasure is a tool I should turn to. One of the key things too that I learned from Mama Gina is like to understand that pleasure is not a one and done kind of thing. That one tool might not do enough to shift you. And in your pursuit of pleasure, in being a pleasure seeker, it's being willing to try more than one layer of it. And so again, the list is so helpful because it's like, okay, I'm feeling in a funk. I know some pleasure would help. How about a dance break? I do the dance break. I don't really feel shifted. I put on some glitter. I might not totally feel shifted yet. I call my bestie. Okay, yeah, the pep talk from my bestie. That pleasure hit really did start to shift me. And then right after that, the nice meal. Okay, now I feel fueled and resourced again, right? Like sometimes it will be the first hit. One dance break and I'm good to grow. But the point is giving pleasure a chance and an opportunity and layering it and making it as easy as possible. So what is 1%? What is 1% more? What is 1% after that? And allowing yourself to really sink into the layers of the pleasure. And in that way too, the erotic blueprints is such a beautiful kind of concept in relation to this, because as you understand that framework more, and if you don't know that framework, message me, we'll get you up to speed. But for those of you that understand what I'm talking about, I firmly believe that we have all 5 of the blueprints within us and that we can stack our pleasure that way too. And it's like, well, what does my sensual self need today? What does my energetic self need today? What does my kinky self need? What does my sexual self need? And so understanding that pleasure can come through many different avenues, that layering it is going to be the way that we can really help shift ourselves out of it. So that's one of the ways to seek it. Again, covering microdosing. One of the easiest ways to seek pleasure is to microdose it, 1%. And then lastly, how to seek pleasure is to band together with other pleasure seekers. I've mentioned before, this pathway is not your average well-worn pathway. And so finding the other people who are pleasure seeking, who are adopting this mentality, they're hanging out in that mindset, that are understanding how to find and play in that space for themselves, that can encourage you to step into that space too, is key. And this is why, you know, being in a group of humans, such as like the mastermind, is such a powerful, supportive energy to be in, because you are going to forget to reach for pleasure. We just don't have it enough as a conditioned response. I'm 3 years into this game of prioritizing pleasure as my primary energetic fuel, and I still forget. And along the way, like, how did I was able to create this business was by learning pleasure and then sticking myself in containers where pleasure was a priority. And didn't try and do it on my own. We're not supposed to do anything alone, friends. Whether it's your mindset, whether it's your pleasure, whether it's your strategy. Another huge fucking misconception from the patriarchy, a double fuck you to like the Lone Ranger story, that there was value in doing it the hard way by yourself. Not asking for help. No way, man. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the collective. We're here for banding together. We're here for lifting each other up. And that's part of what that shine the glow up theory is, that together we take each other higher. So even in pleasure, being together in community is going to be one of the strongest ways to be a pleasure speaker. And so really, like, what I'm talking about is this dual process of how do we use pleasure to fuel our businesses and fuel our lives, is this dual process of unlearning the conditioning and then subscribing to a new pleasure prescription. My beautiful friend Monica Jane on this call taught me that concept. The difference between the subscriptions and the prescriptions. And that you're prescribed ways of being throughout your lifetime, but now we get to choose, what do we want to subscribe to? So what were you prescribed around how to be successful? And what do you want to subscribe to around how to be successful? So that's what this container is holding, is this dual process of looking at the prescriptions, what serves you, what doesn't, and then choosing what is the subscription. And the pleasure being the weekly, daily, monthly dose. Coming regularly, just like the New Yorker magazine, to delight you. That was one of the longest running subscriptions in my life. Nerd alert. Some kids' parents got them that like hijinks subscription. Nope, mine got me the New Yorker. Thank you, parents. But pleasure in the cartoons, and this is why I'm sure part of why I get so much pleasure out of puns and double entendre and innuendo, directly related to that. So my babes, that is my case for pleasure. The why of how to use it, why to use it, the things that are going to keep you from it, the evidence that pleasure has been the thing that has kept me going time and time again throughout these last years. When I first learned it, when I was struggling last year before my business had popped, and even now as my business has grown so tremendously and so rapidly, pleasure has also been one of the ways that I've been able to regulate my nervous system to that growth. And Carla, I see that you have your hand up. Do you have a question or a comment?
I do. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome. So wonderful
Thank
to have you.
you. So wonderful to be here. So I have a question, and maybe, I don't know, see what you think about this one.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm stuck I am stuck in this pattern of feast or famine. But as you speak, I feel like there's this sort of pleasure that I get from it. You know, like that thing of being on the edge and then saving myself.
How many other people identify with what Carla is sharing here? I think that it's such a common thing. I think my take on that would be that it's actually you're giving yourself a kinky pleasure, playing with your own energies, playing with your own boundaries, playing with your own kind of pushing of your energy. And it's so curious when we start to observe how much we actually, because we are wired for pleasure, this is a side tangent, but I'll talk about this for a minute. Because pleasure is an essential energy, if we're not consciously giving it to ourselves, we're going to find ways to unconsciously fulfill our pleasure needs. And this is very much in the realm of existential kink, Carolyn Elliott's body of work, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're not consciously serving our pleasure centers, we're going to unconsciously serve them, or in a way, kind of, it's not subconsciously, unconsciously, but it's like a very kind of patterned way. Like we'll have our 2 glasses of wine and we're not really taking pleasure from them, but we're fulfilling a pleasure center that says, I want this wine to relax, right? But especially in a place like this, where we're playing with our edges, feast or famine, or procrastination is a place where I see it a lot. Taking ourselves right down to the wire and torturing ourselves along the way. Or one of the one-on-one clients that I have right now loves to castigate herself and degrade herself, right? And degradation and castigation is a highly pleasurable realm of kink for many humans. And instead of having a partner do that to her in a consensual kink container, she's doing it to herself all day long.
Right.
Thinking that it's a terrible thing. And it's like, no, you're literally just like engaging your kinky pleasure centers all day. And there comes such a powerful power when we grab a hold of it and come into control of it, and then use it specifically for it. And so that's what I meant about a little bit too, on the edge of like, well, the pleasure pitfall of like, will I go too far into the other realm? And it's like, well, what are you using the energy of that activity for? Are you buffering away, or are you being conscious of its power? So yes, be a kinky bitch to yourself all day long, but when we're conscious of it as a pleasure source, it is a subtle but very distinct energetic shift of how it's operating in our life, and
Right.
how that engages with the energies of receiving what we want versus blocking them out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like maybe like consciously finding more healthy ways to be on the edge, if that's what I desire, to sort of feel on the edge, as opposed to this way that there's so much pain involved with it. It's just like, it's destructive in a lot of ways.
I think there's a both and there. Both, yes, find new ways to create that experience for yourself. And even we can do it so simply in something like exercise, right? Going and doing a workout and pushing ourselves just a little bit harder that last few seconds of the run. But also not shaming yourself for when you're doing it in the painful, hurtful way. When you're doing it in that space and you notice it, it's celebrating yourself and saying, oh, look at how cute I'm being. Look at how much I'm giving myself pleasure right now. I thought I was hurting myself. Instead, I'm giving myself pleasure. So it's actually not making yourself wrong for any of the current behavior, and introducing other ways, because then the brain has options and choice, and maybe getting that pleasure center fulfilled through the more conscious activity actually does feel a little better. But the acknowledging of it for what it is and not being wrong again, and celebrating it and exclaiming it, is going to be that twist on it. So you don't even have to change anything about yourself. You just twist a little bit of the perception of what's happening.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful question and for being here. Oh, my beautiful friends. So that concludes what I have to say on pleasure today. And what I would love to do is share with you again about my exciting, new, juicy, delicious, magical new offering that I have for the world. So if you'd like to stick around and hear about that, please do. When I'm done sharing about that, we'll have a little song to dance all of this energy out with, to be in pleasure together. And what I'll also do here is, while that song is playing, I'll drop some links of how to be in contact with me. So if you needed more information about the mastermind, or you're a yes and you're in for it, then you can contact me and get on the link. And I will share also the song from earlier as well for you all. And so in terms of what's happening over here in my world is that I am launching a mastermind for 10 incredible individuals to journey together for 9 months. It's called the Glow Up Mastermind. The purpose of the mastermind is using high ticket sales to create your 6-figure business and to be in the energy of audacious goals, thinking delusional thoughts of possibility, and collectively achieving bold fucking results. Everything we touch shines and turns to gold, friends. And so that's the energy of this mastermind. Collectively, what I'm here to do is help you create and craft your 6-figure offer, your 5-figure offer, whatever you want to put out into the world, your high ticket offer, and hold you through the experience and all of the elements of what that means to put that offer into the world and have people buy it. So finding your clients, being able to understand what the sales process is with them, being able to be in that moment with them, being able to hold the energy afterwards. So that's all of the journey that we're going to take together in this time. The way that the mastermind is structured is that it's going to be 3 calls, coaching calls per month. And on each of those calls, you'll get an 8 to 10 minute hot seat. So you get dedicated coaching time every week. And you also get to see and benefit from your siblings that are in the mastermind. So you get to witness and observe the questions they're asking, the coaching they're receiving. And what I've found is that being in community this way is it compresses time because you're learning collectively. So instead of you going through every piece of your step by yourself and getting coaching and support along the way, you're being able to learn from the businesses that your colleagues are creating and being able to absorb that knowledge ahead of time alongside, so that when those experiences come up in your business, you actually already know how you want to handle that. Your brain already has an answer. So when we're working collectively together, we get to have this knowledge base that's created and a support system that takes us all higher faster. Also, you're going to have a 30-minute one-on-one call with me each month. And so this is the opportunity for us to connect one-on-one and to be able to have close eyes on what's happening with you individually, to be able to provide you personalized strategy and support, to be able to work through anything that's coming up for you on a deeper level, whether that's emotional integration, anything that's happening in life too, because as we know, as entrepreneurs, our business is not so separate from our life. What we are here to do is often soul fire missions that are deeply aligned with our beingness, our own truth. And so having that support and that time with me to be able to address anything that's coming up for you in life, in business, in pleasure, in love, all of the things, because they're all interrelated. Like I said, you're going to be in an intimate group of 10. So this is an opportunity to form lifelong friendships. The humans that I've been in mastermind containers with are some of my best friends in the world. And the kinds of friendships too, where like I showed up, I had never met the human and was able to stay at their house for 3 weeks without even feeling like strange or weird about it. These are the kinds of containers where you create deep, intimate relationships with other humans, even through a screen, and to a point where you can really carry that relationship into the future and outside other containers. So I'm so excited to facilitate a space for that for all of us too. And then lastly, we're going to have a Facebook group so that you have all of that support that you need in between the calls to access me for coaching, to access the collective community, to share your wins and celebrations, to brag it up, to swamp it out. All of the pieces of the puzzle in that process, you're deeply supported in the Facebook group as well. And so the investment for the mastermind for the 9 months is $10,000 paid in full. If you wanted to do a 10-month payment plan, it breaks down to $1,111 per month. Angel math. And so either of those choices is available, the pay in full option for 10K or a 10-month payment plan at $1,111 per month. And the special bonus for you all being on this call is that if you sign up for the mastermind before November 1st, you're going to get a bonus 90-minute call with me in November. And that is going to give us the time to have a deep dive into exploring what your business is, what your offer is, having the opportunity to start and create a really powerful strategy for you to hit the ground running. The mastermind begins the first full week of December. So we're going to journey from December into August of next year. And so the bonus call again will happen in November for you. So that way, when we start that first week of November, you already have a really good idea of what direction you want to take everything. And thank you so much, Gabrielle. I love you for dropping the link there. If this is interesting to you and you want to have a chat with me, the link is in the chat right there, bit.ly/chat with Marissa. Let's have a call so we can see if this is an alignment for you, if this is a good fit for you. And then if you know that you want in, then get in my DMs and tell me, I want in, bitch. And I'll send you a payment link and a scheduling link to book your call for November, your bonus call. And so it would be my absolute pleasure and honor rather, to journey with all of you, any of you. This is an offering from my heart. It's something that is my baby, and I just can't wait to nurture all of us as we continue to go and get our dreams and our audacious goals and build this motherfucker and accomplish things that we never would have imagined are possible. You know, there's this reality where just time and time again in my life, if you had asked me a couple months prior, if in the following 6 months I would be doing XYZ, I would have said to you, that doesn't seem very likely. And then suddenly it was. So if you had asked me in October of last year, will you have $400, close to $500,000 in sales by the end of next year? I would have said, yeah, maybe. I mean, I have that big goal, and look at the big goal is reality here. So your big goals, your audacious goals can become reality so much faster than you think. And for me, the key and critical needle movers in that process was committing myself to pleasure, committing myself to the mindset that there was no fucking way this wasn't going to work, and then putting myself in a mastermind container so that I had the support of not just a coach, but also the colleagues. And that piece is so incredible and important, the coaching plus the community. And so again, just being able to offer that space to all of you feels like such a deep blessing, such a deep gift. And I'm so excited to journey with all of you. So get in my DMs. I can't wait to hear from all of you. The date to join for the bonus call is by November 1st. So joining before November 1st, by the end of October, I guess October 31st at 12 p.m. Pacific would be the cutoff date for that. So get in here, get it with that bonus. If you know this is a yes, don't delay so that you can get that call with me. And also as a selfish hoe, I want more time with you. So come get in so that we can spend all the time together. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here today. Tomorrow, we're going to be covering strategy, and you're going to learn some very powerful tools about how to attract your clients, how to engage with them in the sales process, how to hold yourself afterwards and do the follow-up piece, the seduction method, the flirting, how all of this works. So come tomorrow for strategy. And to finish off today, I'm going to put us on a song so that we can dance some of this energy into beingness, be in pleasure. I love, love, love you all. And with that, let's get some wild woman energy going here.
I'm a boss. I'm a wild, 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 wild woman. Times are changing, so step aside. It's contagious, so get in line. This temptation, better recognize what you're craving. I can satisfy it. I'm a wild, 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 wild woman. I'm a wild, 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 wild woman. Baby, I'm a boss. I'm a boss, baby, baby, I'm a boss. I'm a boss, baby, baby, I'm a boss. I'm a It's so easy to reignite, so don't fight it. This state of mind, I can feel it come alive. All I need is me, myself, and I.
That's my wild woman call. Y'all are bosses. I love you all so much. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. I'll post the link for the replay on my Facebook page so you all can find it there. And hasta mañana, beautiful bitches. Mwah, 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 mwah.